Welcome to the Cross the Line podcast. My name is Carlos Smith, and I have another special guest today. We are back down in Atlanta, Georgia again today with a photographer. And right now I'm sitting with Mr. Shannon Mccollum. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Thank you for having us, man. I really appreciate the time. I know you're busy right now, and that, like you were saying off camera, that you're on the Come to Get Down tour with some of the funniest comedians, D.L. Hughley, Cedric the Entertainer, Mr. Eddie Griffin, and George Lopez. So kind of tell us, what is it like, the tour?
It's a real brotherhood.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's a real brotherhood. It's a group of grown men that that have been in the business 30 years plus.
Legends.
Yeah, man. 30 years. And as the photographer of this tour, I've been on many tours, but the photographer of this tour, I feel the love,
Mm-hmm.
amongst them, and that's the way I like to shoot it. I like to capture them in the laughing and in the dapping each other and the just the whole vibe,
Right.
And also they be clean.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man.
All the time.
Oh, come on, man. Them OGs be clean. So I take pride in shooting them like the Rat Pack.
Mm-hmm.
That's my whole thing. I'm on the black and brown Rat Pack with these cats. They wear some of the meanest hats by this cat named Alberto in L.A. He's a craftsman at these hats, man. And if you ever on DL or Ced or George's Instagram, not all of them, but the majority of the hats definitely that DL and George wear are by Alberto, and they're just beautiful, handcrafted. So with that being said, is I get to document these OGs with suits and the clean and these hats, and it's just a vibe of reminds me of Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. and Dean Martin, some OGs, that did it all. They did TV, they were musicians, and these cats are TV and comedians, and the other cats were comedians, So.
Is it like a feeling of how does it make you feel just to sit in front of these guys, like we're saying, legends that have been putting in the work for all these years? Is it like a sense of awe that you're amazed that you have the privilege to sit there and do some work for them? How does that make you feel?
That's a good question. I'm always honored to be in that kind of presence, and Ced and George have Hollywood Walk of Fame stars. They got a Hollywood Walk of Fame star, man, and I'm in these cats' crib. I know they families. It's we all have become a family. We go on vacation together. They invite me, and it's just it's such a dope feeling. And sometimes, I have to be like Ced an OG.
Oh yeah.
Ced like a OG. And I mean, we're talking about George Lopez, the George Lopez show that's still running in syndication. I remember his late night talk show when that was the big thing. And what's the movie Eddie Griffin was in where he played like slick pimp type guy? Was it
Foolish?
Nah. Well, he wasn't Foolish.
He was in Foolish, yeah.
But now this is another movie. He was the lead. Damn, I can't think of the name of that. But anyway, being in their presence, man, it's like, and they just love each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I'm documenting that. I'm capturing that. They just love each other, and they even DL and Ced have told me that being on the Kings of Comedy tour. On that tour, even the guys that are their road managers tell me that nobody went in anybody's dressing room.
Wow.
Nah. He said Bernie, Steve, and they everybody just kind of kept to themselves. You know, when it's time to go out, you go out, go back to your dressing room. You know, we chop it up in the middle sometime, or you know, every now and then you go and chop it up with somebody. But they said no, it wasn't like this tour. And this tour, man, I mean, literally, George's dressing room every night is a party, man.
Wow.
That cat is an incredible DJ. His genre of music, he's all over the place. Like he might put on some Jay-Z, and then he'll go to like some Steely Dan, you know, to some Billy Joel. I mean, he's just all over the place. You know, it's just you get some dope stuff in there, and it's just like, wow, every night is a party. You know, and the people that be in there, they just be like, wow. And I'd be like, I do this every weekend, you know?
Right. And you said this tour has been going on for how many years? 4 years now?
We're coming up on 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah, in a couple months. Yeah.
Do they ever, DL and Cedric, do they ever kind of, you know, not saying one is better, but do they kind of compare this tour to like the Kings of Comedy, like you were saying?
Yeah, they have before, you know, in small talk, and then when you know, people say it in DL all the time. Mm-hmm. You know, they always ask them, you know. And that tour was a bigger gross tour. Mm-hmm. But as far as the brotherhood, like you don't like the stuff I'm shooting now. If I would have been on that Kings of Comedy tour, you would have saw a more of a, you know, I don't know if they had a photographer on that tour, you know, mm-hmm. because the pictures that you see of them, they're all like, I like to call pose stage shots, mm-hmm. you know. This tour, the Comedy Get Down, you catch the vibe. Mm-hmm. You see the vibe. Like, I'm giving you the vibe. I'm giving you, you know, how these cats get down, you know, and you wouldn't know that if I wasn't capturing these moments and on this tour.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to go back just a little. Well, go back a little bit. So just tell us, how did you actually get your start in photography?
My dad is a photographer, man, and shout out my pops. He been a photographer all my life, and all my life. You know, he's been a newspaper photographer, and it was always just like when I was growing up. He worked for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and we would eat breakfast, and we get the newspaper, and we go and we sit at the table, and my mom, and dad, and we would look for my dad shot. You know, and like. Mm-hmm. Like I remember my dad had shot Michael Jordan's rookie year. He used to shoot, and like Michael Jordan had hair. I was like, wow, you know. And he would print the pictures, and he'd bring them home, and I'd take them to school and sell them. At the time, it's all hustle.
It's all hustle, yeah.
Yeah, you know, Michael Jordan. My dad got pictures of Dominique Wilkins. In Dr. Rivers, you know, it's crazy. All the stuff he used to shoot, Spud, Webb, but you know, he used to bring all them pictures home. But anyway, I got it from my pops, man. Yeah, he inspired me. But the craziest thing is, I never wanted to be a photographer.
Really?
Like that was nothing at a young age I talked about. You know, you know, a lot of cats by high school, they kind of know what they want to do, and I didn't really know, man. Like I kind of wanted to be a teacher. You know, mm-hmm. and I did. I taught school for like 3 years, and then I picked the camera up because I met this cat, Andre, and he went to Morehouse. I went to Clark, and he had a partner, cat named Jason, and he introduced us. And Dre was a photographer, but Dre was shooting creative shit. Mm-hmm. You know, he was shooting, you know, his friends and parties, and I was like, yo, I want to do that, you know. And I said, I can get a camera from my dad, and my dad had all the dope cameras, mm-hmm. like dope lenses, and my pops gave me a camera, and I started hanging around this cat, and we just started shooting, man. We used to go everywhere and just shoot, and I fell in love with photography.
So did you try to balance teaching and photography? Or
at the beginning, and then I just left teaching. I was just like, this ain't. you know, I ain't gonna be arguing about the kids.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, that's rough. I commend anybody who's a teacher.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a big responsibility.
Yeah, it is. Every day.
So as a photographer now, is it hard for you to balance like your work life plus being a father and everything? Is it hard to balance both of them?
Is it hard? It is. It's work.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of work because I work a full-time job. You know, I still work a full-time job, and I tour on the weekends. You know, and so I go almost every day. You know, and you know, you wanna make time for your kids, and you know, you want to make time for your lady.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you want to, even though you're working and touring on the weekends, you know, you gotta sit in front of that computer.
Mm-hmm. So you don't just do photography full time. You mean like you have another job?
Yeah.
And then you do photography on the side. Okay.
Yeah. I work at Delta Airlines. I've been there 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So I work for Delta during the week, and then on the weekends I get on the road and tour with these comedians.
Do you remember what your first big break was, like when you get a big moment for you in photography?
You know, I don't. I think I just started shooting a lot of parties in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. You know, and people just started seeing me everywhere, and I kind of worked my way into. I met Big Boy at he was in high school. I met him at Lenox Mall. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how, if he introduced me, he gave me Rico Wade's number. Rico Wade was a producer of the Organized Noise. But anyway, I started going over Rico's house all the time and just taking pictures in the dungeon. And everybody come to there, all Goody Mob, and you know, Future used to be there because they cousins, and you know, but he wasn't really rapping though. He was just kind of a young dude. But I just started kind of like being the dude on the scene. You know, I made my face my it was a marketing plot. You know, I used to introduce myself to people as my full name and be like, "Hi, I'm Shannon Mccollum. Nice to meet you."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I wanted you to know, like,
who you were.
Yeah, man. I was like, cause you know, a lot of cats named Shannon, but I'm Shannon Mccollum, and I said that I used to say that shit with confidence. Mm-hmm. You know, and still do. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I believe in who I am. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So when you meet me, I want you to, you know, be like, "Oh, okay." Yeah, that was my thing back then. Cause when you work for yourself, you're the storefront now. You know, mm-hmm. You might be dope at what you do, but how do you act in front of a client? Are you gonna be on time for the gig? Right. Or are you gonna deliver the product when you say you're gonna deliver the product? Because really, if you don't, you're hurting yourself. Yeah. Cause that's the thing. Unfortunately, the work might be dope, but they'll be like, "Yeah, but he took 2 extra weeks, mm-hmm. and we had to keep calling him." And you know that don't look good with people, man.
So do you kind of work independently? Because like you're saying, you know,
most definitely.
Sometimes, you know, like you're saying, if somebody's working for you, they might not take it as serious because It's not their product; it's your product.
That's right.
Is that part of the reason why you may work independent?
Well, it's nobody can sell your business. Nobody can do your business better than you can do your business. Right. You started it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You created it from the root up, and you had a sense of how you wanted your business to go. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like you know in your business, you got your time frame is you got to put out a new segment every so often. So you lose your subscribers, or you don't lose the people that come view you. Mm-hmm. You got to keep hitting them on time, you know. Mm-hmm. And in my business, you know, I wanna make a dope product, and I wanna be proud of my product, and I want cats to be like, you know, he do great work. Okay. He do good work, and he a good dude. Mm-hmm. You know, you want to be known as being a good dude, man. Nobody want to work with no sucker nigga, man, because you can find somebody else.
Talking about music, though, you say you were like a guy that was always on the scene. So when you were constantly, you know, going to these different clubs and with Big Boy and all those guys, was it like they needed some photos or something done, were you like the first guy to hit up because they already knew who you were and they knew your hustle?
Most definitely. Yeah, I would. Rico would call me and be like, "Yo, we going to the Velvet Room tonight. Or we going wherever." He would say, "How much you gonna charge me to come shoot us?" They would hire me just to come shoot them hanging out.
Wow.
You know, they'd be in the club, they'd be smoking and they'd be popping bottles, and it would be like cats winning the championship every night. They'd be really like really popping bottles, and I used to just be there and just like pow, 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 you know, just shooting them, and but he would pay me $500 to go out on a Friday night. We talking back in the '90s, you know.
That's big.
Yeah, man, and I would get that little bag, man, and shoot them cats, and it wouldn't be all the time, but it'll be enough of wherever they felt like they wanted to do some fly shit, you know, like or album release, mixtape release, or we just going to kick it because, you know, Jeezy, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it was just Atlanta always supported Atlanta, and I would always get that first in call because I was so cool with the artists, and then I had become so cool with they right-hand people, you know, they PR people, they assistants.
How was the music scene back then compared to like now? So we're talking about music. How was it?
You know, it was crazy. Atlanta artists were on fire.
Oh yeah.
Like Atlanta was on. I mean, like, and all we was hitting you like Usher had it. Jermaine Dupri was So Def. Ludacris had it. You know, you can't friend on Ludacris.
I think Jeezy, when Jeezy came out, that was
that Trap or Die.
That was. I remember I was still in middle school. And,
okay.
Well, my high school was 7th through 12th grade because it was so small.
Oh, okay.
And I remember when Jeezy came out, I mean, it was crazy. Trap or Die, and the Snowman t-shirts, like, they were sending kids home.
Oh, for that.
If you had the t-shirt on,
you had to go home.
You just going home. I was like, man, might have been one of the like craziest movements. I remember.
That was a great marketing plot.
It was huge.
He came with the Snowman.
Yeah.
And he was on fire. Like, everywhere you rolled, everybody was playing that shit, man.
Yeah.
Everybody was playing. I remember I was on tour with Dead Prez. I used to tour with Dead Prez. And we would be in New York a lot. And I mean, New York niggas was playing that Jeezy. I was like, I mean, like, it was everywhere. He was that dude. You know, him and Drama and Cannon with them, you know, they had the mixtapes on fire. That's when the mixtape game was big.
Crazy, yeah.
So Atlanta, the streets was crazy, you know. And with that being said, there are lots of parties, and I'm up in all the parties. I would just be, you know, do promoter stuff. How much you gonna charge me to shoot my party, man? And back then, I wasn't trying to kill nobody, but I was getting about 300, you know, 300 a night. So on a Friday and Saturday, I could make a quick 600, and then I might have shot some headshots for somebody and made a little 125 in during the week, you know.
Right.
You know, and them little 125s used to add up. You know what I mean? So you become a person that ain't scared to get money in different avenues within your business. You know, like I might still. Some people be like, "You'll shoot a wedding?" I was like, "Yeah, I shoot a wedding."
Mm-hmm. You know? Have you gotten away from kind of doing like clubs and music now?
Oh, most definitely. Yeah. I mean, I ain't in no club no more. You know. I'm in the comedy club, but as far as being in there with them rappers and all that, dude, no, I'm over with that. But I'll go and I'll shoot my son's concert. Yeah. You know, and I'll shoot that whole his tour life, you know, because I love it, you know, and but that's the extent of it. I don't be in no strip clubs, you know. I used to do all that with the rappers. I used to do. When I tell you, I used to tour with. I spent like 3 years with Pastor Troy, and you talking about, remember the crunk scene?
Oh yeah, that was big. Lil Jon, Scrappy.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Lil Jon, I went on tour with Lil Jon. Lil Jon did the anger management tour with Eminem and 50. And Lil Jon invited me out, and we did arenas. That was the biggest gross tour back in like, what was that? 08, 07, 07, 08 or something like that. And Scrappy was on fire then, man, and he was just, you know, wow, that dude was so wild. And I shot that a whole summer, you know, with what's the dude from 50 Cent crew, the dude from Nashville.
Oh, Young Buck.
Young Buck,
Yeah.
he was a fool. But yeah, so going to party, I went to 50 threw a big party for the tour. We had a day off and we were going to New York and he lived in Connecticut. He bought Mike Tyson's house.
Mm-hmm.
And he had this big student party with a G Unit performed and he had, you know, models everywhere serving drinks and it was crazy. But that was a big tour. But yeah, man, I've been touring a long time, man.
What's one of the craziest parties or that you had ever experienced, like back in Atlanta in the late 90s or early 2000s? What's one of the craziest things? 'Cause I heard with G's and BMF, like they had some of the craziest parties. Like, what's one of the craziest stories that you remember?
Oh my God, there's so many. I remember one time I forgot the name of the club, but like Usher had like tigers in that motherfucker. He had like live animals in there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was his birthday or somebody's birthday. I was like, this dude like got real like zoo animals in here. Like wow, yeah. But just man, I mean, being in the club with so many different artists. Like okay, one time this was in Atlanta, but I used to tour with John Legend, and he performed at the All-Star, the NBA All-Star, and it was in Arizona, and so the night before they had a big party, and so I was in the car with John, and when we got out, they just rushed us into it was like in a hotel in a big ass conference room or something. And so they kept rushing us, and we're passing all these NBA players, and they rushed us right up to VIP. As soon as we got up in VIP, it was LeBron, and Kobe, and Jay-Z, and Jeezy, and Beyonce. Mm-hmm. And I'm in that motherfucker like, oh, shit. Like...
Great company.
Yeah, I'm in there like, oh, shit. And so I'm just shooting, man. I'm just like that shooting. Shaq came in and that was a dope experience. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was dope. Yeah. So
are you born and raised in Atlanta?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How has photography changed from when you first started till now? What's like the biggest difference in it that you see?
You got an awesome way to display your work now. You know, an awesome way to show your work. You know, when I came up with you had to have that portfolio game strong. You know, that's what you had to do. It wasn't no other way. You had to matter of fact, I just showed my lady. I have to show y'all for y'all lady. I found one of my old portfolios and I was showing my lady the other night. And you know, I call myself a music photographer. Like when I used to get business cards, I used to put music photographer. You know what I mean? Because if you go and Google Annie Leibovitz was a female photographer. She toured with the Rolling Stones, and she shot so many different, you know, Led Zeppelin, and if you ever go in the bookstore, look at her work, man. Oh, man. Like her work is phenomenal, and she used to just being on the road. The way she shot these shot these artists. Is like I'll be all up in they hotel room, you know, shooting them with their robe on, drinking their coffee, you know, or she would the way she shot the shows and the way she shot them walking through the hallways and the lobbies and, you know, getting on a plane, you know, I just fell in love with that, man. Mm-hmm. I just fell in love with that whole photojournalism, and I said that's what I want to be, that's what I want to do, that's what I'm gonna do. And I just took no for an answer, you know, and I just kept doing it, and you just keep doing it to where you get noticed,
Right.
You know, and so now with the new photographers of this new era, is if you dope, you got a platform now that we didn't have back then. You know, and you had to sell yourself first. You know, you had word of mouth had to be, yo, I heard he was a dope photographer.
Yeah, social media just makes it.
Oh man, social media made it so much easier, and you know, people can, you know, refer you through your work, and now I can look at your portfolio on Instagram, go down and you know, and see how if you really are dope, you know.
And that's actually how, remember I was telling you off camera, like that's actually how I found you, because you know you were working with DL, and he tagged you on his pictures, and I just happened to scroll on it, and I clicked on it, and I just checked it out, and I was like, let me just reach out to you to see if you'd be interested in doing an interview. And it's like social media is just with the click of a button. Now you're able to just reach out to somebody. But do you kind of have like a, you know, since it's so easy now, do you kind of have like a little resentment, or do you kind of embrace, you know, younger photographers who has it easier than you to just, you know, put their work out?
Yeah, I always embrace it, man. I always embrace it, and I always embrace the younger cats, because, you know, I was right there in that path. You know, it was my journey. You know, I was 21 when I started, and I'm 48 now. You know, so it was in my past. So how am I to like not, you know, a lot of cats, you know, ask me stuff. A lot of cats get in my DM, you know. I get asked for a lot of interviews, and I turn a lot of them down. But I went to your page, and I was sold off you. I was sold off you. I went through, I said, okay, this dude got good character, you know, and
thank you.
Yeah, I said, because I was even telling my lady, I said, I don't know them. I let them in my house. You know what I'm saying? You don't know. But I studied your page enough to know your character spoke enough of, you know, this is a good dude. So and I saw the message you were putting out, and I'm all about that. So I was like, yeah, I'll definitely do it.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, and I tell people all the time, you know, I've heard no so many times, but you know, it's just one of those things you just have to keep grinding, man, and keep pushing.
Yeah.
Because you know, all it takes is one yes. You might have
That's it.
One yes, and it can change the game. I tell people all the time, they just don't know. Like, they might see some of these interviews that I'm doing, but I'm like, you don't know the work that I put in. You don't know how many no's I hear, how many emails. So I'm saying you got denied a job. Like, it's just so much that goes into it.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm just thankful that you were able to sit down with me.
Oh yeah.
What was some of the best advice that you received in your career?
Some of the best advice I received is remain humble. You know, I get that from a lot of cats. DL, you know, he said, he told me once, he said, man, the reason I let you come out with me all the time, because, you know, cats I grew up with, that photographers now, and they always asking me, he said, you a good dude, and I like who you are. You know, you're cool to be around. And if people think that way of you, you can grow. Because they don't mind sharing you with somebody else. You know, it's all about relationships. You know what I mean? And you know, it's all about helping the next person or doing something that you know that could help somebody out.
My favorite journalist, Charlemagne the God. One of the things I remember him saying is, you know, manners will take you places money won't. And it's so
real talk.
It's real, yeah. And who would you say was some of your mentors in this business?
My pops, for certain. Gordon Parks, you know, like I love Gordon Parks and what he stands for, and what he meant to be a black photographer. Annie Leibovitz, you know, I spoke about her. You know, she's so incredibly dope. And you know, I like a ton of fashion photographers. You know, I like the way cats shot fashion. Even though I don't shoot fashion, I used to shoot a lot of fashion back in the day. But I figured it wasn't the lane I wanted to go in. But I enjoy shooting it though. Style shit. But I just tried to get the style out of the music and the entertainment side of it. And but yeah, cat named Ron Witherspoon. He taught me a lot, man. He's a cat in his 60s. That's just a good businessman. I was like, it's always good to surround yourself with a good businessman, minded person. You know what I mean? Yeah, they help keep you sharp. Yeah.
Do you try to learn some things from younger photographers? Maybe like bits and pieces from them?
Absolutely. These young cats, they coming with it. Like, it's a lot, and it's so funny because they be all like bowing to me, and I'll be like, man, no, man, I'm bowing to you. Like these young cats, man, they really, and they understand the marriage of shooting and editing. Some people take it too far, but some people know how to put a nice touch. You ain't got to do too much filtering, but just sharpen it just a little or whatever, and it looks good, and I like this. I like these young cats' eye, like now doing what I'm doing is a thing. You got people that tour with all kinds of. Wiz Khalifa got his own photographer, and Future got his own photographer, and my son got his own photographer, and like my son's photographer, that kind of beast, and his Coach K's son. It's Coach K's son, and his work is that boy's a beast, man. I love it. I'm inspired by him, man. He's a dope cat, man. Yeah.
What's been one of your favorite places to travel so far? Like for me, I made a list of places that were on my goals with the podcast. I made a list of places I want to travel, and Atlanta was easily one of them. And I've been here. This would be my 4th interview that I've done in Atlanta, but I have so many more places I want to go.
Yeah.
That I just wrote as my goal.
Yeah.
What's been some of your favorite places to go?
So I used to be a photographer for Delta Airlines, and they partnered with Habitat for Humanity, and so Delta would fly to these different parts of the world, these different countries, and build houses. So when I first got the job, man, 2 weeks later I went to West Africa. I went to Ghana. They sent me to Ghana for 2 weeks. It was such an amazing experience to be able to walk around in the villages and take pictures, and it was just like wow. So, but to get back to your question, I went to Thailand. They sent me to Thailand, and Thailand was amazing. Yeah, so Thailand and Africa, and I love Paris too. Paris is cool. I love LA, man. I'm an LA person.
That was one of my places I want to go to, man.
I love LA, man. I go to LA. I'm in LA a lot, because it's just a vibe, man. It's so cool, and it's work out there for me. Like if I really wanted to, I could pack up and go out there and work for DL full time.
So what makes you want to just kind of do both of them instead of just full-time photography? What makes you want to just not give it up completely and just do photography?
Because I actually like my job. You know what I mean? Like I actually like my job. It's not stressful. I can. My parents can fly free because of my benefits. My sister can fly free. My daughter can fly free. My son, he's still on my flight benefits. If he wanted to fly free, he still can. So I like that. I like being able I like being able to say tomorrow, if I didn't have to go on tour tomorrow, I could be like, you know what? I want to go to Paris. I'll look at the flights. There's 11 o'clock. I'll land at Paris at 6. I can spend the whole day and kick it.
Just go.
And then come back Sunday. I did it before. I was like, you really gonna do this? I was like, I'm gonna do it. So I caught at 11 o'clock on a Friday. Got there at like 6. Spent the whole day. Kicked this whole shit. Matter of fact, I was on tour with John Legend. And it was such an amazing experience because I was on tour with John, They didn't tell me Kanye was the special guest. This one he was dating Amber Rose. Amber was there, and John's wife, that was his girlfriend at the time. And man, back in the dressing room, man, they was popping bottles. We was drinking, and I'm shooting, and I was just like, wow. You know, it was such a cool vibe. And so I spent the whole day kicking it in the city. Show that night. Flight was at 6. Laid down, got back to the hotel room about 2. Laid down to 4:30. Caught the train back to the airport. Was on at 6 o'clock. Yo, the flight attendants were like, "Weren't you on our flight coming in?" I was like, "Yep." And they was like, "Wow." I got first class. I slept the whole way. Watched a movie, ate, slept the whole way, and came back home. Spent 24 hours in Paris. But a lot of people that work for Delta do that kind of stuff.
I want to talk a little bit about some music again, about your son, Lil Yachty. Did you always know that he would be an artist?
Absolutely. Yeah, I didn't know a musician, but definitely an artist, because I groomed him that way. You know, it's funny. I didn't want him to have to work a 9 to 5. I wanted him to make money from his artistry. You know, I wanted him to be a photographer. I wanted him to be a videographer. I wanted him to be a DJ. You know, I used to show him how much money some of these big DJs make. You know, and I just wanted him to do something creative, and he was really into fashion. You know, so. Yeah, that was just his thing, and that's just kind of how he was brought up. You know, I took him everywhere. I took him on photo shoots. You know, I took him. He met so many rappers when he was young. Like he came on. Whenever I was with John Legend, we came to Atlanta. John brought him backstage. He met T.I. All the guys that it's crazy. He's got records with these guys now. You know, it's just like. But I kept him in that environment. You know, and it's funny. He said, "Dad," he said, "Dad, it's funny. You was grooming me for it."
The whole time.
The whole time.
And one of your captions I saw on Instagram with your son, you said Coach K said he was going to make Yachty rich for decades to come. Did you envision Yachty being this successful, like business-wise, as the businessman that he is? Did you envision this kind of success for him?
Honestly, no. Honestly, no. I had no idea. Now I knew what it could become. I knew, because he's well spoken. Miles is well spoken. He knows how to talk to people. I always had him on some yes sir, no sir, point blank period. That's how we get down, you know, point blank period. And from a little young age, he was groomed that way. He remembered that, you know. He kept that with him. You know, my mom is she's like a humongous advocate of the homeless people. And so she go downtown Atlanta and go down to this place where they feed the homeless, and she do it every Thursday for like the last 20-something years. Like every Thursday, feed them, and you know, it's just her thing. So she used to take him. And he saw, you know, that whole service thing, you know, like, you know, helping somebody, and that's why he's buying his friends cars, and he doing stuff. He gets it, you know. If you put it in front of somebody, how they should act, like the streets can easily steer them to believe something else. But if they get that grounded, this is how you act, this is how you become a businessman. So what I did was, when he told me he had that song one night on SoundCloud, he came over my crib one day, and I was just like, he said, "I want you to see, on SoundCloud, you can see the analytics." And it was like 100,000 at one point. I was like, what the?
Just like that. It's crazy.
So like, you know, just like that. Then this kid does a video to the song in his room. He do a video to the song, and dressing up in these little characters. Boom, the song take off. Miles come back over to the crib. He said, "Dad," he said it's at 500,000 now.
It's crazy.
I said, "What?" He said I'm getting promoters in my DM to come tell me they want me to come perform the song for 700. I was like, they want to pay you $700 to just come do one song? He's like, yeah. And I was like, wow. So at this point, he just graduated high school. It's that summer. He just graduated high school. I let him fly to New York because he wanted to try to go to New York. But anyway, let me just get back to the story. I can veer off. When I saw the seriousness, because he had a manager. He's a young cat. He was probably about 22, and I was just like, and at the time Miles was 19. No, Miles was 18. And I was just like, you trying to be an artist too? You ain't no real businessman. So I knew Coach K because we've been boys for 20-something years. When
they got a lot of dope artists right now.
Man, that's Coach.
Yeah.
That's Coach. And I knew him when he was passing off flyers and he was doing all that for Jeezy, and then he became his manager. I knew him back then because he used to hire me, or I would see him at parties. So I hit him on the phone. I was like, "Yo, man," I said, my son is rapping, man." And I text him. I said, "My son is rapping. He got 500,000 views on SoundCloud." He hit me back like, "What? What's his name?" I said, "His name Miles." He's like, "What's his rap name?" I said, "Yachty, Lil Yachty." He said, "Bruh," he said, "let me tell you something, man." He said, "I have little dudes that go to these little parties." And he said, "Your son is known for going on stage, doing this one song, and then leaving the whole party." He wouldn't even stick around. He'd do this one song and he'd leave. And I'd be like, wow. And he said, "Bring him by my studio." So we set up a meeting, and immediately he said, "This dude a star." He said, "If you let me manage him, I can make him a huge star." I'm talking about like commercials and other kind of things. Coach, he saw it immediately. He was like, "I can make." So he said, "Look, I'll tell you what. Without me signing right now, I'll pay. I'm gonna take him to New York, and we're gonna go to Spotify. We're gonna go to YouTube. We're gonna go to Complex. We're gonna go to. I'm gonna do some other, whatever, Jumper or something. No Jumper.
No Jumper podcast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he immediately did all that and got him out there. And Miles had already, before he jumped off, he had already been hanging with A$AP Rocky. So let me tell you how crazy this is. So I take them to LA. I take my son and my daughter to LA. We're in LA. We land, and LAX, you can run into anybody. TMZ out there, everything, So we get outside, and Miles go, "Dad, that's Ian." I said, "Who is Ian?" He said, "He wears Khalifa stylings, and he's a fashion designer, and he hang with A$AP Rocky." So I was like, "Oh, okay." So Miles go to him, was like, "Yo, man, what's up, man? I know who you are." Yeah. I ain't never seen. He done been around all kind of rappers. I ain't never seen him get like over somebody. He was like, "Yo, that's that dude,"
Mm-hmm.
So they take a picture. Miles had on the Supreme jacket. He liked Miles' Supreme jacket, and they exchanged numbers. So when we get back to Atlanta after the weekend, they keep in touch. And next thing I know, his mom was like, "Dad, put me on a plane to New York." And you put me on a plane. I work for Delta. I could do that. So this even before he took off. So he was flying around meeting Ian in these different places and met A$AP. And A$AP was like, A$AP wanted to sign him. He was like, "You gonna be a star." And this wasn't even on no music shit yet. He just had a vibe. Long story short, Miles texted and said, "Dad, guess what? I'm in the studio and Kanye in here." I was like, "Whoa."
Right.
Yeah, he was like, "Kanye in here." And they took a picture. So he wasn't Lil Yachty to nobody then. Took a picture. Kanye, Miles called me the next morning and said, I think he called me that night. But anyway, he said, "Dad, Kanye asked me, can I come to New York for a fitting for the Yeezy show?" I was like, "What?" He was like, "Dad, you gotta keep it on the low. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but he asked me, can I come?" And I said, "Well, my dad worked for Delta." Boom. He leaves LA, flies home, spends the night. The next morning, I had to work. I'm at the gate with him, and we see Young Thug, and Thug get on the plane because Thug was in the show, And he said, Miles said, he said, Dad, he said, my life about to change. I feel it. He said, my life about to change. He said, I feel it. And he said, he Thug don't know me. And he got to New York, did the fitting, and he said, Dad, I got it. I'm in the show. And so, so they had rehearsed all this kind of stuff. So he said that right as they was getting ready to, there was a tarp on top of the models. So, and they were at Madison Square Garden. So when they removed the tarp, right before they removed the tarp, Miles was in the back. Everybody else had on like a khaki color. And Miles had on a red sweatshirt because, you know, the red beads. And he was in the back. They had him all the way in the back, in the middle. And he asked the lady, the crib director lady, he said, since I got this red shirt on, my red hair, you should put me in front, don't you think? And she's like, you know what, that's a good idea. And put him dead smack in front. Bro, when they lifted the tarp off, and he was dead smack in front, and he was standing there with the red hair and the hoodie and the Yeezys on, and they were just standing there, and they just stood there. And he was playing, and Kanye was playing the album. Mm-hmm. Yo, after the...
Was that Life of Pablo, or...?
No, what was before Life of Pablo?
Was it Yeezus? No, not Yeezus. I can't remember.
No.
I can't remember.
Was it Life of Pablo? It was.
Life of Pablo came out, I think, in 16. I think.
Okay, then that's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was. That's when this was. So, soon as the show was over, bruh, my Instagram started going bonkers because there was a live feed on what is Jay-Z's Tidal. So my phone just started going crazy, man, and his picture started being everywhere. It was everywhere, and then the next morning, he was on Vogue.com. He was on Good Morning America. It was like, who's the redhead kid? Nobody knows he does music. And then that One Night song kind of really met and took off. But yeah, man. So and then I got coach now. And
so it's kind of like you don't even have to oversee him or anything. You just like let
coach. It was like, and coach my age, so he a grown man, so he about his business. You know, he ain't gonna be out there playing with you and all that kind of stuff. He made him get up in the morning. It's the same thing if I was out there. You know, hey man, you gotta get up. You know, you got a meeting, whatever. Coach is he's already a father, so he got kids my age, my son's age, so he knew how to handle all that, and after they did that little press run, the rest is history.
As a father, you know, it's your automatic instinct is to provide and protect. So why do you think he catches so much flack? You know, sometimes people say he is in hip hop and things like that. Why do you think he catches flack sometimes?
You know, personally, man, I think he catch flack because he has an opinion. They don't be talking. They don't voice their opinion. Like, he voiced his opinion and told you that, you know, he didn't know any Tupac. And let me tell you why he didn't know any Tupac. Because I didn't play Tupac. I didn't play Tupac, you know, and whatever came on the radio I listened to. But personally, I wasn't a Tupac fan. And I know a lot of people are like, wow, you know, when I tell people that. But I wasn't. I wasn't on pop music like that. You know, I didn't listen to it like that. I was into some, by that time, man, I'm drifting between jazz and Coldplay and Radiohead and Outkast and Common and Tribe Called Quest, and you know, I was into all that.
But you know, I think it's a lot of people. You know, I'm 26, and even I was a baby, you know, when Pop was killed. And I think y'all is younger than me, so it's like for us, you can't really expect us to like know his music because we didn't really grow up on it. But you know, as a music artist, some people may say that, you know, as an artist, he may need to go back and do his homework and do his history. Do you feel like as an artist, they should, you know, go back and do their research on history?
You know, absolutely. As an artist, absolutely, and he does do his homework on artists. That's just a particular artist he didn't have any interest in him. You know, that's all that was, simple and plain. It wasn't No, a lot of people confuse that thing, that Tupac thing, not knowing because it was showing disrespect, you know, and it wasn't showing disrespect. It was just the fact that, you know, at the age he was, it wasn't on the radio like that. That wasn't mainstream radio back then. Mm-hmm. You know, when his ear was at an age when you start comprehending music on the radio, when you know who they are and you know your songs, you know, you're 10, 11, 12, 13. But that wasn't the case when he was that age. You know, Tupac was 90s and early 2000s. He was a baby. You know, he was a little kid, and he listened to what I played. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So whatever, if I was into my little, you know, eclectic whatever, you know, he was on that, and he was a beast at knowing so many different songs. You know, because and he would be like that. You know, I went to school today. And on Fridays, the teacher lets he plays music, and and Coldplay came on, and he said my teacher was tripping because I sang the whole album, word for word. And he's like, and I was like, that's because that's what you know. I used to play it all the time, you know. So and he's different, you know. A lot of people don't like different, you know. He brought, you know what? I was at George Lopez's pool party 2 years ago. And last year, and Kid from Kid and Play found out who I was, and he said, dude, man, he said, I like your son because he put the fun back in rap. Mm-hmm. You know, at the time he came out, he was like, you know, that's what Kid and Play was on. They was on some fun rap, house party and all that, yeah. And that was his lane, you know. Mm-hmm. He wasn't trying to be no thug because he didn't grow up no thug. You know, we ain't live in the hood. You know, he didn't have to live like that. And you know, he wasn't on that, and he was okay with that because again, it goes back to he knew who he was as himself. Mm-hmm. But he sometimes caught flack, I guess, because people he got so much going on. Mm-hmm. He got so much going on, and people hate on that. A lot of people will say what they say about his music. You know, if they're a fan or if they're not a fan. You know, for every fan that don't get down with him, there are 10 that do.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
You know, and you can't be super dope and not have haters. You can't be.
How do you want him to be remembered do you want him to be looked at more as a businessman or an artist?
Well, I want both, you know. I want him to be a Renaissance man. I want him to be, as he is now, he's a young Renaissance man, and he's well versed in you know, Miles got deals with, you know, Nautica, he did Sprite, he's got Axe, he's got he did Uggs, he just did a Disney deal. He got a new Disney deal with Beats by Dre for the 90th anniversary. He got a Chef Boyardee deal. You know.
I think you posted something about How High 2. He
just rapped How High 2, the lead role with DC Young Fly. You know, him and DC Young Fly, the lead. And I went on set, man, and I was so impressed, man. I was like, this dude can act. Like, he can act. Like, and that's what he wanted. You know, he got an acting coach, and he took it serious. You know, matter of fact, George Lopez had his last TV show last year. Or was it the year before last? But anyway, he said, hey, man, I said, George, my son wants to get into TV. But he said, hey, man, I watched him, man. I think he's ready. He says, I tell you what, when we film again, I'm going to have him on the show. And I was like, what? You going to let him come on the show? He said, yeah, I'm going to let him come on the show. And he did. He flew to L.A. George took care of him, put him up. Flew to L.A. and filmed the George Lopez show. Did great in it. Did a great scene with George. And, you know, now he got acting, you know, roles coming his way. Yeah.
A few more questions and then we'll wrap it up. Mm-hmm. You said that I want to go back a little bit. Well, let's stick to hip hop for a little bit. before we wrap it up, for as hip hop this year, do you pay attention to the music that's out right now?
I do.
What would you say are some of your favorite albums to listen to this year?
From other young cats, I like Playboy Cardi.
Playboy Cardi.
I like Cardi. I like Cardi. You know, my daughter was playing Gunna a lot. I was like, okay, I like Gunna. Yeah, he's.
I think him and Lil Baby, they just had a project maybe like a month or so ago.
They had a dope project that did well. I listened to that. And I think I listened to Baby because he's on the same label as QC, so that would make me want to pay attention to him more. And he an Atlanta cat, you know, and he's snapping, you know, he be snapping. Who else would I say on the young?
I think T.I. had a good album to me this year. He was actually one of my top 5 albums.
Really?
Dime Trap.
I haven't played it.
Yeah, Dime Trap is
Trap.
in my top 5.
What?
Yeah, I put T.I. in my top 5.
Okay.
Yeah, I still give, like, I've been saying it out in my interviews with my other friends as music artists. I tell them that, you know, Nipsey Hussle to me with Victory Lap, that was just...
Okay, that's a beast.
Yeah, Nipsey had the best album for me.
Okay.
But a few more questions. Let's get ready to wrap it up.
Okay.
I'm gonna go back a little bit to you know, the Get Down. Hopefully I'm saying it right.
Coming to Get Down.
Coming to Get Down. Okay. You know, Charlie Murphy one point in time, he was God rest his soul. He was on the tour as well. What do you remember about him?
Wow, man, Charlie was. I got to spend 3 years with Charlie every weekend, and Charlie was just such a great storyteller, man. He used to tell these stories, man. He used to crack us up, man, with these stories. He told a story about when Eddie Murphy first popped off, his brother first popped off, and Eddie would be throwing these big dumb parties, just, you know, when women would be at the house for like 3 or 4 days, like at a time, like a house full of women. And he said when Eddie would have to leave to go film for the day, he said they would just be like, like trying to hold his legs down, like, please don't leave, Eddie, please don't leave. Like, it was crazy. But Charlie had some stories, man. He would tell me stories about when he got on the Dave Chappelle show. Talk about Rick James, and he talked about being at Prince's house. Like that dude had some experiences, man. He had some stories. He told me how he used to rob dudes when he was young. He said that if his mom said you got to get out of New Jersey, and she'd send him to the Navy. Because he was so bad, you know. He was a stick-up kid, you know. He was robbing on me. He said he would hang out. Charlie said he would hang out at the pool hall. He was like 13 to 14. Hang out at the pool hall, and the men would get so drunk, they would come outside and stumble to their car, and he'd rob them. Take all their money out their pocket. Was it damn Charlie?
What were those initial, you know, after he passed away? What were those initial shows like after he was gone?
It was tough, man, because he had already started missing shows. You know, he had started missing shows, and they would have to make up something, you know, to the audience, because people would be looking for him, you know, and you know, some days he'd come back and he looked good, and then some days he didn't look good, and he's like, oh man, Charlie. He started losing a lot of weight, and you know, and he called me. He's like, Shannon with the cannon. What's up, Shannon with the cannon? That's what he would call me. And I just go in his dressing room, man, and I just sit in there and talk to him, man. We just talk, man, and he was just such a humble, cool guy, man. And he would have his road manager roll up his joints. And he had like 5 of them on like the little table, coffee table, and he sit there and talk to you, and he'd just be smoking this little joint, and he'd just be talking to you. And every show, he on his rider would be Popeye's chicken. Yeah, Popeyes every week. Like some guy like DL, he gets salmon and baked chicken, and you know he get the same thing. Everybody get, that's kind of like what they get. They get their little certain things. And Charlie would get Popeyes chicken in every city, man. He get Popeyes chicken.
One final question. What's your ultimate goal?
It's to continue to grow in this business, man. It's to continue to grow, man. That's my goal, man. You know, I just want to just grow and be a dope photographer and be known as the cat that really put his heart and soul into the business. And you know, my pictures tell the story, and that you see that I was a hungry, humble cat that wanted to get it, man, and that got it, and that's still getting it, and that's going to continue to get it. All
right, well, Mr. Shannon, thank you. We appreciate the time. Real quick before we get out of here, can you give everybody your social media, how to follow you?
Yep. It's at Shannon Mccollum, ShannonMcCollum, all together, at Shannon Mccollum. That's me on everything. And check me out. Same camera, different eye. That's my hashtag. That's my business. Same camera, because we all got the same kind of camera, but we all got a different eye. We all see it differently. So that's my thing. Same camera, different eye. Hashtag, check that.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Till next time, guys. Keep chasing dreams. It's Cross the Line Podcast.
Cross the line. Cross the line. Blah.